My name is Darlington Chidarara. I'm a projects coordinator with ActionAid Zimbabwe, leading the work that we implement under natural resource governance. Our main focus on this work is meant to realize maximum civic participation in natural resource governance processes and working towards state and corporate accountability on the impact of businesses on women's rights and economic justice. From the 5th to the 7th of September in 2023, I participated at the second edition of the African Business and Human Rights Forum in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, at the African Union headquarters. The theme of the forum was For Africa, from Africa, which reflects the work we are doing as ActionAid and our partners, where we work to seek to push for local perspectives and solutions in the collective efforts to implement the United Nations guiding principles on business and human rights. It is important to note that one of Africa's main problems is the governance crisis. Although it may seem self-authored, what is important to note is that it was born out of the patterns and trends left by the colonial system of governance. Dr. James Sabora rightly puts it that the consequences of colonialism are still with us, and the colonial masters never left and never lost control. This is, of course, through the economic system and the powerful multinational corporates that are exploring Africa's natural and mineral resources. It is imperative that we find purely African solutions to business and human rights issues. My professional joy as a social justice activist and environmental and human rights lawyer is seeing the law working for people who live in poverty and marginalization. These are the communities who are directly affected by mining activities in the areas we have been working in, such as Marangi Diamond Fields, the Mtoko Black Granite mining sector, and many others around Zimbabwe. My hope at the forum was to take the plight of these communities to the forum and solidify the call for a legally binding instrument that is pro-poor and pro-African. It is my strong submission that before we start advocating for economic justice and benefits from the vast natural and mineral resources Africa is endowed with, we must start by protecting the communities whose human rights are at risk from the business conduct of these corporates who then produce the much needed revenue. The African Business and Human Rights Forum platform was a great forum for me and for ActionAid as an organization as well. I got to assess the progress that has been made regionally in implementing the UNGPs and developing of the National Action Plans on Business and Human Rights, as well as sharing the experiences that we have done as ActionAid Zimbabwe. My major call is for the platform to develop tangible points to carry forward so that the forum is not reduced to a mere talk show. Going forward, ActionAid Zimbabwean partners will be intensifying engagements on adoption of the UNGPs and development of national action plans on business and human rights, as we believe that localizing these proffers concrete protection of communities' human rights in the context of business, where our laws are still weak. The African Forum on Business and Human Rights is thus far one of the highest platforms I have taken issues on Zimbabwe's business and human rights issues to physically. Though I may not have attended the negotiations for a legally binding instrument in Geneva in person yet, I've seconded my partners to represent our issues there. And I have also attended the negotiations online during the COVID-19 peak period. It is my hope to directly contribute to these negotiations in person in the coming years. And of course, I'm talking of 2024 going forward. So all I can say is see you in Geneva.